the mighty and resilient Merrimack River, carving through the communities of our great region. My name is Linda Lorden, proud president of Merrimack County Savings Bank, and like the river that serves as our namesake, we're a constant yet ever-changing presence. Because to us, it's bigger than banking. It's about powering communities and putting people first. It's about knowing where you came from and where you're going. That's Merrimack style. Visit us at themerrimack.com.
Hello, thank you for joining me in this week's podcast. I hope you're going to enjoy the training material contained within. Any questions? Get in touch. Mail at learningbritishaccent.com. Section 1. One strategy for spontaneous speech. When my daughter had her mock German speaking exam, her teacher, although generally impressed with her efforts, thought she needed to be more spontaneous when talking. Does this feel familiar? Spontaneity is really hard to achieve when you're struggling with nerves and anxiety, and you're trying to find the correct vocab and sentence construction, and you're trying to get the pronunciation spot on. I think some of this stems from a lack of confidence in the sound of your own voice speaking a different language or accent. You just aren't used to hearing yourself this way, and if you are more of an introverted character, having to speak out loud is really uncomfortable. So to work out her spontaneity muscle, I've suggested that on our next car drive, she should narrate what she sees. Get used to speaking off the cuff and focus on the flow of what to say and ideas she can incorporate into her observations. Start with the basics. Weather, buildings, animals, people, colours. What are they doing? Or what do you think they're doing? Walking to work? Listening to Spotify as they jog? Are they friends or are they arguing? What type of shops do you see? Describe the landscape, etc. It will feel really weird and awkward at first, but you'll soon think of different things to say and different ways of saying it. Consider taking a notepad to note down any words you're not sure of the pronunciation with, and you can always drop me an email with your pronunciation query. Spontaneity will become a little more familiar. Have a great week and enjoy the opportunities to speak spontaneously. Section 2. Spontaneous speaking in business. Working for myself in an organisation of one means I no longer have to suffer the anxiety of being asked for an impromptu speech or comments in business meetings. Even in smaller gatherings, having to speak off the cuff can be extremely nerve-wracking. If you're going into any business situation with even the hint of possibility of being asked to contribute spontaneously, it's worth developing a plan to deal with this. One effective strategy is to use oral bullet points. Structure is king when it comes to speaking spontaneously. Are you able to quickly organise your thoughts and answers into 2 or 3 bullet points? Use time connectives to clearly define the points. For example, firstly, secondly, finally. You can then briefly outline the 3 points and then go back to flesh out each point if required. Each bullet point will anchor an idea or action point, but can allow your speech to flow from it. For example, you're suddenly asked in a meeting your thoughts about moving the office location. Off the top of your head, you could organise a response. My initial thought is that it isn't on the bus route, so it'll be more difficult to get to. Will we need to provide car parking spaces to counteract this? Will the cost of these spaces outweigh any cost savings from the office rental? On the plus side, it's a very green neighbourhood and will be a very pleasant place to work. Oral bullet points succinctly praise your insight, allowing your argument to be easily followed by those listening and easily presented in your mind and out loud by yourself as the speaker. Your clarity and brevity should be highly valued and appreciated by those around you. Before we move on to the next section, now would you like to speak English with an RP British accent? Have you been learning for a while but not making much progress? I'd like to tell you about my British Accent Bundle, which is my online training package which helps students from all over the world master the RP British accent. In my online training program, you'll get video lessons that demonstrate proper mouth and tongue placement for nailing those tricky British accent sounds. There are also hours of audio exercises so you can polish your pronunciation until it's spot on. You'll also find modules focused on improving your fluency, listening skills, and conversational abilities. Now, if you think you could benefit from this training and start to feel confident about your speaking and conversation skills, then head over to learningbritishaccent.com/bundle to sign up. Section 3. Are you spending your sacred hours on your British accent? Is your time and attention being pulled in all directions? Struggling to remain in control of your focus? Trying to do the best for everyone can not only leave you feeling exhausted, it means you're not left with any time to do the things you really want to do. That's where this sacred hours idea comes in. The notion of sacred hours is that these are the chunks of time that you keep for yourself to concentrate on whatever it is you need or want to do. From reading into the idea behind it, it seems to be particularly designed for those people that are involved in a creative endeavour of one sort or another, for those who require clear thinking time to allow the mind to wander and access their creative flow. However, I think it's a principle that can be applicable to any form of work or pastime or learning that benefits from little to no distractions. So how do you decide when are your sacred hours? Ideally, this would be the couple of hours that you personally find are your most productive, creative and focused. Some of us find our best concentration is in the morning hours, after which our mind and focus just wanders. Others find the quiet hours at night time are when their creative and productive juices come alive. There are some crazy people who willingly spring out of bed at 5 a.m. and leap into their projects while the rest of us sleep. What personal projects, training or goals do you focus your sacred hours on? Maybe it's training to run a marathon, taking a class and learning the art of flower arranging, or teaching yourself a new software program to improve your employability prospects. Working around your own commitments, have you experimented to find out which hours could work as your sacred hours? Maybe you'll discover that you are actually one of those larks, and your energy just explodes at 5 o'clock in the morning. Section 4. Conversation phrases beginning with the letter C. Number 1. Can I help you? Can I help you? If you work in a shop or a business, you can say this to a customer if you think they might need some help. So here's some example sentences when using this phrase. Hi there, you look a bit lost. Can I help you find something? Welcome to the store. Let me know if I can help you find anything. I notice you've been struggling with that equipment. Can I help you figure out how it works? Number 2. Can't be bothered. Can't be bothered. You can say this if you don't want to do something because you're feeling tired or lazy. And here's some example sentences. I can't be bothered to cook tonight. Let's just order a takeaway. Don't ask me to help clean up. I can't be bothered after working all day. I was going to organise my wardrobe, but honestly, I can't be bothered right now. Number 3. Come to think of it. You can say this if you're suddenly reminded of something. And here's some example sentences using the phrase, come to think of it. Come to think of it, I haven't seen Tom around the office in over a week. I wonder if he's on holiday. You seem really knowledgeable about gardening. Come to think of it, didn't you say you worked at the nursery? Come to think of it, I never confirmed the date of my dentist appointment. I better call and check when it is. Number 4. Could do with. Could do with. You can use this when saying what you or someone else needs. Here's some example sentences using this phrase. I'm feeling tired after a long day at work. A good night's sleep would be something I could do with. The kitchen is a mess after cooking dinner. It definitely could do with a clean. The paint on the walls is looking tired. The whole room could do with a fresh coat. Number 5. Could have easily. Could have easily. You can use this when saying that something was very possible, but it didn't happen. So here's some example sentences using the phrase could have easily. I arrived at the train station just as it was leaving. I could have easily missed it. The hiker lost their footing on the rocky trail and fell. They could have easily gotten seriously injured. If I hadn't looked both ways before crossing the street, I could have easily been hit by that speeding car. Section 5. Time Connectives quiz. So I've got a very short 5-question multiple-choice quiz on time connectives. I'm going to give you a sentence with a missing time connective and 3 possible answers. I'd like you to tell me which one fits in with the sentence. Sentence 1. Blank. Next steps were outlined prior to concluding the meeting. In the blank, is it A, then, B, as well as, or C, during? Blank. Next steps were outlined prior to concluding the meeting. For question 1, if you answered A, which was then, you'd be correct. Question 2. Blank. After months of diligent work, testing was completed successfully. Can we use A, firstly, B, finally, or C, initially? Blank. After months of diligent work, testing was completed successfully. A, firstly, B, finally, or C, initially? The answer was B, finally. Finally, after months of diligent work, testing was completed successfully. Number 3. Blank. To training teams, resources were invested in marketing. Is it A, then, B, initially, or C, in addition? Blank. To training teams, resources were invested in marketing. Then, initially, or in addition? If you said in addition to training teams, resources were invested in marketing, you'd be correct. Number 4. Blank. Sales were slow, but momentum gradually increased. Blank. Sales were slow, but momentum gradually increased. Is it A, as well as, B, initially, or C, then? Blank. Sales were slow, but momentum gradually increased. As well as, initially, then. If you said B, initially sales were slow, but momentum gradually increased, you'd be correct. Number 5. Blank. Preparing the presentation, handouts were created. Blank. Preparing the presentation, handouts were created. Is it A, then, B, initially, or C, as well as? Blank. Preparing the presentation, handouts were created. Then, initially, as well as. And if you said, as well as preparing the presentation, handouts were created, that's C, you'd be right.